I mean, yeah, pretty much, but it's not as bad in this case. There you go. If anyone clicked just to ironically respond to the title in the comments, beat you to it. If you were to go back to around, I don't know, say 2022 and ask me what 3 video games I most wanted to see get made, the answer probably would have gone a follow-up to Garou Mark of the Wolves, Mario Kart 9, and a sequel to Tomodachi Life. And now where do we stand, 4 years later? So it all fell on the new Tomodachi Life to save me from fucking putting my head in the oven. And when it became fairly obvious through the Uwu, Sanrio, Sanded Edges, Pastel, Ego, Nymph, Polka Dot, BPD, Kirby, Lingerie UI styling that the New Horizons developers were probably on this one, there was some cause for concern. My biggest footprint on this entire stupid fucking mudball is complaining about that game. Look, you can even see the exact moment I realised who's making this shit. It's true, I did jump up a little and I swished a bit of throw up around like mouthwash for the rest of the direct, but I didn't lose hope. So they mucked up Animal Crossing, but that doesn't mean everything they touch becomes septic. So now the game's been out for a bit, and after the initial honeymoon period has worn off, I've seen a lot of people drawing parallels to New Horizons with how beloved content has been axed with a greater focus put on the customization elements. For those unaware, features like the concert hall, the ranking board, quirky questions, judgment bay, they've all been removed, and that's just from the top of my head now. And fair enough, that sucks, but here's my perspective. It took me years to really nail down what bothered me so much about Animal Crossing New Horizons. I thought it must be all the removed content, the cafe, swimming, all the NPCs and their special events either being downplayed heavily or gone entirely, but as those aspects slowly started being added back in updates, the game remained just as repulsive to me. It was ultimately my conclusion that while chopping off content obviously sucked, it was the structural changes New Horizons made to the core experience that was its true failing. The villagers were dull twats, you were given way too much agency over their lives, there was no conflict, no stakes, no real chores or relationships, blah blah blah, you've heard all this shit before. Instead, the game ushered in a bunch of ham-fisted customization mechanics, chief among them being terraforming utilities that worked about as well as trying to open a tin of beans with your asshole. And whether intentionally or not, this ended up smothering the life sim aspect of Animal Crossing and turned it into more of a sandbox experience. A lot of people ended up likening New Horizons to a dollhouse or ant farm, where you're an overseeing god instead of just another dude living on the island. Those kind of features were out of place in Animal Crossing, but I can think of no better Nintendo game to implement them than a new Tomodachi Life, the game where you literally take the role of some kind of omnipotent overseer watching these dumb fuck mud people faff around all day.
I guess I'm just not that interested in fucking hot rods.
I see.
And in living the dream, in place of this missing content is a focus on customization once again, with a refined meme maker and a terraforming menu that doesn't try to actually recreate the experience of being a fucking landscaper IRL this time. You can even decorate the island with either pre-made items or your own bespoke architecture that albeit needs to be formed around basic geometry. There's also the island lingo system, which I can best describe as writing your own Cards Against Humanity cards, which gradually become the native lexicon. You are 4, he is 2. Neither of you have ever fucked. And the way things are going for Cancer Toad, he probably never will. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's a disease. This island has a fucking disease. I think these sorts of additions speak to the devs wanting to lean on user-generated content to create a much more personalised experience compared to the first game.
I would suck your cock like a vacuum. Like that.
You even have the custom designs basically ported wholesale from Animal Crossing, so you can make your Miis wear whatever you want. You can even tuck in shirts. Oh man, they thought of some of everything. Yeah, I do have an axe to grind with the implementation of some of these features, and maybe this isn't going to be particularly relevant to the overall point, but it bothers me so much I'm going to get on my soapbox. First of all is the Mii Maker. Why the fuck did they throw the makeup from Miitopia in the garbage? I mean, by some miracle, Nintendo developed the most thoughtful and over-engineered version of the Mii Maker that accounted for basically every single possible restriction to player creativity, and just left it out on the counter overnight for it to go rancid. Living the Dream does introduce a lot of cool and varied new facial features and hairstyles, and I don't wish to discount that, but I also don't understand why they'd switch out the makeup tools for the new art program thing. You can do some pretty cool stuff with it, but it's so full of arbitrary restrictions that they had solved 5 years ago. Like not being able to paint over noses, or more importantly, not being able to have player-made features function like the regular assets, i.e. not being able to emote properly. Now you're just confined to using the preset features, or sacrificing your Mii's ability to emote if you want to draw your own. I'll admit, this is basically all I'm asking for. If they implemented that back in, I'd gladly shut the fuck up. It's just that the Miitopia Mii Maker was primarily the reason I wanted a new Tomodachi Life so bad, but the monkey paw just had to go and code, didn't it? When people started arguing over this on Twitter, as they are wrought to do, I saw a lot of people saying they preferred having Miis that look closer to how Miis have generally, looked over the years. Sure, make them however you want, I don't give a fuck. That doesn't mean that people who would have liked more freedom shouldn't have had it. A common rebuke to that stance was that the incredibly detailed Miis possible to make in Miitopia went against Nintendo's vision for the little fuckers. At least, in Tomodachi Life specifically? Like what, are you saying that Nintendo has specific guidelines for how they want Mii characters to be presented from title to title? Maybe. Maybe. But dude, this is a game where an all-star cast of dictators, terrorist leaders, and celebrity pedophiles can all shack up in a giant condo together, and that's okay in their vision? But letting my Mega Man with Inafune concept art accurate eyes fucking blink is a bridge too far? Never mind the fact that they mentioned nothing along these lines in the developer interviews and in fact were very open to widening the scope of what's possible with Mii making. Matter of fact, fuck Nintendo's vision. This is the company that doubled down on Mario Kart World's Top Gear special across the Mushroom Kingdom bullshit. Yeah, 10 months later and I'm still not over it. Fuck you, this game should have been good.
I'm always up for a deep dive on my dead wife. Hitch.
You know what, I personally believe that since there's no way to share Miis directly online, the people saying this shit are just worried about getting brutally Mii-mogged and thus want the technical ceiling on Mii creation lowered. You crackers aren't slick! Anyway, that's my rant on the Mii stuff done. The other thing that's a bit questionable is the selection, or lack thereof, of furnishings for your island. The in-game shop offers you like 3 types of fence and a traffic cone and is like, well, go on. Make the gender identity segregated utopia of your dreams. It's kinda put a full stop on a lot of ideas for builds I had. I mean, Shibuya-cho over here looks great, but that's only because the devs had the sanctity to put a metal green fence in the game. Then I wanted to make like a little Southtown beach area, or at least like a Geese Tower, but quickly came to the realization I didn't really have the stuff to pull it off. I mean, you've only got, like, what, 3,000 pieces of furniture gathering dust in this game's dry old cunt? Why not just port them over like you did with all the clothes? No one minds? I mean, this is maybe a moot point since I could probably fudge together some custom shit. I've seen a lot of people produce some really good results, so maybe I'm just getting IQ filtered, but it would be nice to have more stuff to put around. Plus, Miis can't interact with the custom stuff in any meaningful way other than going up and sniffing it. But speaking of getting filtered, I should probably address the big elephant in the room. Since the game has no online sharing for Miis or custom items, I guess the non-artistically inclined can go eat shit. Not a problem for me, I've been drawing since day dot and I love the DIY aspect of games like this, but it's certainly gotta be an issue for a massive chunk of this game's demographic. It's a trade-off, I know, for the game not having a language filter, but that doesn't mean it's not gonna be a hurdle for a lot of people who just don't really have the art gene. And even as someone who does like to make their own stupid junk, I wouldn't mind being able to just download a Tesco meal deal online to feed my little shitlings instead of spending 30 minutes making it myself. I don't know, maybe they could implement some kind of some kind of moderation. Some kind of moderation system.
What? I was just thinking about picking up sluts at a bake sale too.
Okay, returning to my original point though, while I clearly have gripes with this game, they are, at the end of the day, nitpicks. Repeating dialogue and events, moments of inactivity, relatively shallow mechanics, this is all pretty par for the course for Tomodachi Life. It's neither worse nor better than it was in the last game. And while the content omissions from Living the Dream are no doubt disappointing, the identity of Tomodachi Life remains intact. As much as I would have liked to see some expansion of the formula and more variety in the activities, at the same time I'm glad the developers had the restraint to keep the game as it was, instead of going off in new directions and having it become something that it isn't. It kind of feels like when something, anything, gets cut from the original for a sequel or remake, people tend to hyperfixate on them and exaggerate their importance to the experience. Why is the dog already dead? Fuck this game! Where's the swing, for Christ's sake? I mean, the compatibility tester, Judgment Bay, the fucking swing, they're all fun to mess around with, but are they really make or break inclusions? I don't think so. To me, the only really egregious omissions are the concert hall and maybe the child-raising content. None of my sexless fucks have actually popped one out yet, but if you don't know, all of the family, baby, me-raising content has been cut out in favour of just a cutscene showing them growing up. Maybe this is a defeatist attitude to take, but I don't see much point in complaining about things that will inevitably just get added again anyway. And to that degree, I think the baby stuff is the only cut content that will actually end up staying cut. But on a level, did anyone actually enjoy babysitting these little cunts? At the risk of dipping into pretentious territory, there was this kind of ambient, for lack of a better term, vibe that I got from Tomodachi 3DS that not even its closest gaming peers could replicate. Something about the passive RNG-based gameplay loop, the slightly off-kilter music, and the general unpredictable wackiness of it all created this unique feeling within me that I can't exactly describe. But I noticed after a little time of living the dream that it was evoking the same vibe once again, and I was kind of taken aback by it. Maybe you scoff at that thinking, well yeah, no shit, the sequel's gonna feel like the original, but despite all of their surface level similarities, New Horizons could never really capture the feeling of New Leaf. I know this is conceptually vague, but I'm talking less about tangible design distinctions here and more about the emotional atmosphere playing a game creates. All the added content in the world couldn't save what I thought was a fundamentally bastardized Animal Crossing game, whereas I think Living the Dream can only get better with post-launch support, assuming it fucking gets any. You know, it's a Nintendo game, flip a coin, maybe it'll get some, maybe it won't. But with the way it expands on some areas and downsizes others, even though it may technically be a bigger and better product, it in some ways can end up feeling like a lateral move. And considering that my entire lifespan at the time has elapsed once more since the release of the 3DS game, Jesus Christ, that can't help but cast a slight shadow over the game. I think that's what people are picking up on more, rather than this being another New Horizons situation, even if some of the symptoms are the same. Hey, to any livestream watchers, obviously I had to play the game a bit to get some footage for this video, and we had a couple developments here and there. First of all, Mario has finally ceased his pathetic simpering, he grabbed these balls and finally got together with Cube. Not before I tried to have another pop again though, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with this me? And then Rio managed to get together with Tori, so that's another fucking mark on the John Sex cock tally. And Simon wants to pump Cooking Mama full of seeds soon, it seems, so that'll be good. And finally continue the Belmont bloodline. Hey, if you found some of this bullshit funny, why not stop by the Twitch stream? If this video does well, maybe I'll do some streams on YouTube of it as well, I don't know. But knowing my luck, it probably won't. Okay, video's over for real now, see ya.
I see. Your impression of someone who likes giving up is that they be a pussy.